To the CXO Roundtable Mumbai. This is an initiative by the Talk. So the Talk offers a very powerful platform wherein the small and medium enterprises come together, collaborate, join together, and create meaningful business ideas. This session is sponsored by the Tata Tele Business Services. They are the country's leading enabler of connectivity and collaboration solutions for the businesses in India. They offer solutions ranging from connectivity, collaboration, cloud security, IoT, marketing, and so on. And they're also the country's leading ICT service providers for the business. I would like to start today's session by introducing all the lovely panelists who have joined with me. Also, I have a very, very brief introduction of you all already. It's my duty to welcome you all formally for today's session. But before that, let me tell you the theme. The theme of today's session is redefining business communication with tech advantage. So that will be the theme of the discussion for the day. And let me quickly introduce all the lovely speakers who have joined here with us today, starting with Mr. Atul Chugh, co-founder Beyond School. So guys, I know this is a virtual session, but let's give a good round of applause as I introduce everyone's name so that we have a good energy flowing inside the room. We have Dr. Mona Pankaj, CEO ErgoCure India. Welcome, welcome Mona.
Thank you so much.
We also have Captain Muthukrishnan Ayyappan, CEO Eka Academy. Welcome, Cap. Very happy to have you. We also have Shweta Mangal, Director, Murgency Inc. and co-founder Zigita Healthcare Limited. Welcome, Shweta. Very, very happy to have you. Last but not the least, we have Mr. Manoj Barot, Chief Marketing Officer and founding member, Bridge Labs. Welcome, Manoj. Very happy to have you. And as the icing on the cake, we always have our very own charming Janice Das, Regional Marketing Head, Mumbai, Tata Teleservices Limited. Welcome, Janice. Very happy to have you. So I pass on the floor to Janice to give a quick opening remarks for today's session, and then let's quickly jump on to the round table. Over to you, Janice.
Thank you, Muthu. And once again, a very good afternoon to all the eminent speakers and to all the participants who have logged in now to be part of the Tata Tele Business Services CXO Round Series. I would like to spend some time on talking about what is Tata Tele Business Services focusing on the market and what is its core strengths. Now, Tata Tele Business Services, also known as TTBS, belongs to the prestigious Tata Group of companies, which is the country's leading enabler of connectivity and communication solutions for businesses. With services ranging from connectivity, collaboration, cloud, security, IoT, and marketing solutions, TTBS offers the largest portfolio of ICT services for businesses in India. We have seen now that almost for 1.5 years, COVID-19 has acted as a tipping point for digital transformation of the workplace. And this will speed up further as technology is now a vital pivot on which enterprises are totally dependent for their business's continuity and growth. Digital agility thus is becoming a critical factor for the workforce to communicate and collaborate effectively, both internally and with customers. Now, as a country's leading technology enabler, we are empowering enterprises with voice, data, and managed services to develop deep digital capabilities, build resilience, and enhance operational efficiency. Enterprises are moving fast on the digital curve and are embracing hybrid work culture that allows them to service their customers from anywhere and anytime. To meet this growing demand, we have strengthened our portfolio of services such as cloud-based communication solutions, collaboration solutions, IoT, data management, and cybersecurity solutions. We have recently launched an advanced cloud communication suite by the name SmartFlow, which combines an uninterrupted flow of business communication with intelligent call routing and monitoring. Not only this, it also offers on-demand scalability, which allows businesses to adapt quickly to changing business conditions. SmartFlow also comes with enterprise-grade security and reliability. We are also happy to share that we understand customer needs and market requirement and take care of this. In this journey, we have collaborated with Zoom to offer video communication solutions to enterprises. Through this partnership, we will offer Zoom's communication platform services such as Zoom meetings, Zoom webinars, among others to enterprises, especially small and medium enterprise, which will enable collaboration among teams and with global partners. Furthermore, this partnership between the two companies will benefit industry segments such as banking and financial services, healthcare, IT-enabled business, and education with unified communication solutions backed by Tata Tele Business Services support. The video communication platform offers features such as live video, streaming of video webinars up to 50,000 viewers, one-click access, sharing of video, voice, and content, as well as recording, virtual backgrounds, company branding, multi-layer security, and meeting participation of up to 1,000 people on video from locations across the globe. At the same time, due to the ongoing COVID-19 restrictions that have necessitated virtual working and collaboration, Tata Tele Business Services has strengthened its enterprise solutions portfolio with SmartFlow, Smart Office, Ultra Lola, Smart Internet Lease Line, collaboration solutions, IoT, data management, and cybersecurity solutions across industries. For the last 2 decades, our deep customer engagements have helped us to develop solutions that would enable enterprises to compete and win in their respective business segments. We will continue to play the role of technology enabler by strengthening our portfolio of services, especially in the areas of connectivity, collaboration, SaaS, IaaS, IoT, and cloud, while simultaneously enhancing our network and sales reach capability to cover as much of the enterprise footprint as possible and enable them to do this. Thank you once again for sharing your time and joining this session. I'm sure it will be a very insightful one for everyone. Thank you. Over to you, Muthu.
Thank you, Janice Das, for that lovely introduction. So you have explained everything about the company in brief, and I hope everyone had a very good introduction. Today is Janmashtami, yes, but there is also something more special. Today is also supposedly the birthday of Naval Tata. So the father of Ratan Tata also has his birthday today. So I think it's again a very, very good day for all of us as an industrialist and an entrepreneur. So let us quickly jump on to today's roundtable discussion. So I still remember March 21, 2020, the day when everyone's life took a toll, right? So the government announced the lockdown, 21 days of lockdown for the very first time. And when we just rewind our lives back to that point, we all said to ourselves that all these things will get over by August. So we'll all be very free to roam about during the month of September and all that. So I think it's almost the next September in another 2 days, and I think there is no signs of improvement. The situation is only getting worse. But on an entrepreneur's point of view, I would like to understand from you, dear panelists, what went through your mind when the lockdown began, and what were your top priorities as a CXO? So this will be my first question. I would like to start with Mr. Manoj. Over to you.
Thanks for the question. I think very pertinent question in the today's times, and like any situation that presents itself in a very abrupt manner, I think the initial reaction that we faced ourselves, and I'm talking about my own experience, was denial. Right? This can't be happening. Let's the initial reaction was to just try and go back to business as usual. Try and see if you can still get back to office. Try and see if there are less people, but just keep working as usual. Then there started an acceptance level that came in, and then once that acceptance happened, I think things started moving forward. But I think the most important priority was to ensure that across all stakeholders, there was complete clarity of communication with respect to what's happening with the business, where is it going, what's really working, what's not working, whether it is employees, whether it is consumers, students that we had taken on board onto our program already, or the organizations that we were committed to. So it was about ensuring that there was absolute transparency of communication. And that was the most important priority for us at any point in time.
All right. Wonderful, Mr. Manoj. Let me ask Dr. Mona Pankaj, over to you.
Yeah. So I think this pandemic came as a sudden surprise to the entire world, and everybody, or were caught unaware with this. So many people lost their jobs, and those who had them, they were not sure whether their salaries are going to get cut. And amongst all of this chaos, I think people still started working with whatever they had in hand. The most important change that happened was probably working from office to working from home. And we also saw a rise in the musculoskeletal uh, uh, pains, what we call musculoskeletal disorders in terms of pains. So the neck pains and back pains were at all-time high during this pandemic. Now, this was a new situation, and people were already grappling with so many things. How to make sure that the meeting goes well, how to make sure that my deadlines are met, and then their own health that started taking backseat. So during pandemic, this was also a kind of new way of communication for us as therapists, as ergonomists, because otherwise for pain management we have to go and physically see the patient, treat the patient with say modalities or with manual therapies. And here to make them understand that look, we can help you with certain exercise therapies, and especially the ergonomic guidance which can be easily imparted on with a virtual medium. That was a little tough time, but we were also trying to understand what all issues they're coming up with. Was it stress? Was it the pains? Was it taking care of the household chores in, so the ladies and men washing utensils for hours together and mopping? So that also led to back pains. And or was it the workstation? So we were also studying all of that. So for us as an organization, not only did we want to be updated with what is happening around the world, how people are coping, helping their clients to get better, and also so we were updating ourselves, and also we're trying to understand what is happening with our clients, and so that we could offer them the best of solutions virtually. So
All
that
right.
was going on. Yeah.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, doctor. Just a quick reminder to have your responses a little crisp and short since the time is pressing. Let me pass on the mic to Mr. Atul. Atul, over to you, sir.
Muthu, we were in a very unique situation when the COVID hit us, as we had just started the company. So for us, it was a very, very different situation. As in, we were just setting up the company, we were hiring people, and both Payal and I, who's the other co-founder, came from very, so as to say, traditional background. So for us, it was a complete 360. We had to actually adopt to new normal immediately, because you were not one of the big enterprise where you would call people to work or ask somebody to align to our thoughts. We had to change ourselves completely. So that's something which we did. We kind of moved immediately to everything virtual, everything, and we were in this space where we were trying to do it any which was virtual. So it was actually a good learning for us right from the day one. Yeah.
All right. All right. Lovely, lovely. Thank you. So let me ask Shweta Mangal, ma'am, over to you. Let me hear it from you.
Yeah. So, we work in the field of emergency response. So for us, shutting down or not going to office was not an option from day one. Not for a single day did the ambulances stop, or there was fear in the frontline people, but then, it's like hospitals. When this happened, they had to be at work. The back office, which includes the call center and the support team, we did give them the option to work from home. The call center, the large call centers had to work from the call center itself. But of course, we were calling people on rotation basis. So instead of calling 100%, we would call 50%, and 50% were working from home. So they worked on a rotation. For smaller call centers, we did a setup from home so that they could take calls from home during that time. That was professionally. Personally, I think for me it was a big change, because I have a 6-year-old daughter, and she is doing online schooling, and then my office moved to home, and
Okay.
that was, I think, more challenging than managing the work actually.
All right. Thank you, Shweta. Just fine. Let me quickly pass on the mic to Captain. Captain, over to you. Let me hear it from you.
Hey, Muthu, very quickly, the first thought which came to mind was relief. I said, wow, thank you very much for choosing March, because March, April, May are a very lean period for training. Companies don't do training during that month. They are busy with their annual appraisals and all those stuff. Had it come in August, we are gone for good. So first thing was that, and then I knew that it's going to be for 21 days. To be very frank, there was sense of relaxation. I was actually in Coimbatore during that time. My parents are there, so I was saying, okay, great forced vacation. But the actual moment of truth came when it was extended beyond 21st of March, when people started talking. Then I would rather explain what went on to my mind when that happened. You know, when it went beyond the 3 weeks. First thing was to preserve cash. You know, ours is a very cash intensive business. We have a lot of people employed and we need to pay. So, and first thing that got stopped was training. Because training being a very people intensive business, it was stopped. So first thing is to preserve cash and to get operations going on. So that was the first two things which came to my mind. And then when it went beyond July, that's the time when it actually started biting and we were looking at alternate ways to do our business. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Captain. So that was really a good, a very roller coaster round, I should say. So we had one person who had a denial, and we had one person who had been facing a lot of cases. So the muscular cases has been increased, and we had another speaker telling about a complete learning tool set. So it's a complete total turnaround. So there was a lot of learning. So Shweta was busy, and again, Captain initially thought of a vacation, but it went on to become a great opportunity of business. So it has been a complete turnaround for a lot of business in this lockdown, right? So every business has its own share of pros and cons. But for a business to flourish, I think the first and the most important factor is communication. Right? A communication has to be very streamlined. It has to be very transparent. But let's talk on the terms of technology. So let me ask you my next question, gentlemen. How business communication solutions are redefining the workspace or the workforce? So how business communication solutions are redefining the workplace and the workforce is my next question. I'd like to start again with Mr. Manoj. Just a small reminder to have your answers a little crisp and short. Over to Manoj.
Now, I think business communication solutions have existed forever. There have been, niche situations. For example, Zoom existed even earlier. There are lots of other, online tools that were available even earlier. I think what has changed is people's mindset, and therefore acceptance of some of these tools has become better. It is now okay to work from home and say, have not necessarily be in a business suit and have that call. In fact, to just share a small, situation, I had a call with one of my clients who had just finished washing the vessels, and he was in his own banyan, and we were having a call, and it was normal, right? So the point is, I think the mindset has changed. It's become okay for this to be, happening. Yeah.
Thank you, Manoj. Let me quickly ask Mr. Atul.
In this kind of situation, as Manoj mentioned, all these tools used to exist earlier. It's that we never use these tools the way they were intended to be. And now that we were forced to use these tools, we also learned how best optimize these tools. So we started off with Zoom and Google Meets, and then finally, when the team started growing, we had to move to other platforms which would keep us, which would not require these kind of invites and all that stuff. Wherein if I can want to reach out to somebody who's working with us for a 2-minute call, how can not send a meeting request, because half the time would go waste in just coordinating and people saying that I've not got the invite, this, that, and the other. So the changes have been done. It's just that now that we were forced to adopt to this technology. We've started using the technology in much better way, the way probably the creators of the technology were intending us to use it, and we started doing that now. So yeah, that's what is happening.
All right, all right. Thank you, Atul. Yes, let me ask Dr. Mona Pankaj.
Yeah, so I think with the new era, people were becoming more and more conscious about what kind of tool they're going to use. So, for example, initially when we had to have meetings, people had their own choices. Zoom nahi lena. So, so because there was probably some safety, security concerns, so we moved to MS Teams and things like that. From client perspective, I think they were becoming more and more aware about how to communicate with their employees because this was the new strain that they had to address, strain of problems to ensure the employee productivity. They had to make sure that they are still communicating with their employees. So that was one. And I think the updating of the payment methods, that is one major thing that people have changed. Otherwise everybody was, India is cash based economy, but now I think everybody, even the panwalas, are using Paytms and GPay. Yeah.
True. Thank you, Mona. Let me quickly ask Shweta Mangal. Ma'am, over to you.
I actually, everybody's kind of said what I also went through. I mean, Zoom is now a part of life. WhatsApp video, Google Pay, all the UPI payments, buying everything. So technology has actually now become an integral part of life. You cannot run away from it. And the barriers which we had in mind for dressing up, or being, on time in the traffic and all that. I think technology has just kind of changed our life. And I think it's here to stay. That's more important. Of course, in the pandemic, we all embrace technology, but I think the long-term effect of this will be that this will be here to stay for good.
All right. Thank you, Shweta. So let me pass on the mic to Captain.
Okay, I would say that business communication has transformed from being a functional aspect to an experience. I had, during my interaction with my clients, clients have started creating their own preferred method of communication based on the experience they have. Like between Zoom or Google Meet or Microsoft Classroom, people have started having preferences not based on functionalities, but on the experience. So I would say one of the most important transformation, redefinition that business communication has gone through during pandemic is, I think, transforming or elevating business communication from a functional perspective to an experiential necessity.
Thank you, Captain, and all the lovely gentlemen and ladies for that, insightful information that you've given. But as Manoj sir rightly said, I think I have to pick a small point from what he has shared. So just like how we said, this technology with regards to communication or business tools have already been into existence. Zoom has been there, Skype has been there, all the Slack or whatever you call, the technologies were already being into existence. But this COVID made us to embrace those technologies a little quicker. That was wonderfully said by Mr. Manoj. So I would like to frame my next question from what he has said. So I'd like to ask you, the table, how the pivot of virtual meetings or virtual communications with your customers redefine business. So I'd like to start again with Mr. Manoj. Over to you.
I think the taking over from the previous point itself, I think it was a mindset change, and clearly we had to first struggle with our own internal mindset change, right? Because first of all, we've always been, for example, we were a tech organization completely offline before COVID, and in 3 months time we became completely online, right? So that was a huge mindset change that we had to overcome. First of all, work from home earlier was scoffed upon. We had to be in office, you had to shake hands with the client and close the deal. The clients also liked all of that. We had to travel across and meet people. Now suddenly the mindset that we had to embrace was, it's okay, let's work from home, let's make sure that the outcome happens, rather than just about being there, and giving face time in the office time. Especially from Bombay, I think the best thing has been that you don't need to travel for 3 hours to each office. And so all that can be moved into productivity. That really helped getting the work from home mindset in place. That was the big change for us.
Wonderful, wonderful, Mr. Manoj. Let me ask Mr. Atul. Atul, are you with us? Since Atul is already a techie person, I think he has a.
So sorry, Muthu, you have to repeat the question here. I just missed your question in between.
So the question is, how the pivot of virtual meeting or virtual communication with your customers redefine the business?
So as I said, when we started off, it was more to do with getting the team together right now, and that's something I think actually it helped us, because otherwise we would have kind of gotten into this whole loop of fixing up times, trying to figure out convenient times for both of them, both us and the candidates to take out time, and also with the team. So actually it worked in favor of us, because we could do a lot more than what we would have done earlier, when it was the whole face-to-face kind of an era, because then you had to plan for everything, right from reaching time office in a particular time, because now I was doing interviews late in the night. I was having meetings late in the night and starting my day early. Otherwise, typically you get stuck to the whole thought of, let me reach office first and then let me organize my day accordingly. So it actually helped us all, I mean, it fast paced everything for us, to be honest. We could do much more in the same time, which we would have thought. And I also felt that, in the initial stages when we were putting this all together, if we would have been in the office, we would have spent a lot of time on unnecessary discussions as well, which got saved, because, this was, come to the meeting, have a point-to-point discussion, and then finish it off and go on to your work or to the next meeting. Typically what I've seen, at least in my experience, and now also we've started coming to the office, typically the habit of, meetings getting dragged on a particular agenda or a particular point happens, which was not happening in the other case, because, people would have put their calendars in such a way that the next meeting has to be started and they would be required in the other meetings. And that became much better for us, because then the discussion was much more focused and people would come with the, everything prepared, speak out. We were getting decisions much faster.
All right. Thank you, Atul. Let me ask Dr. Mona Pankaj on the same.
Yeah. So I think for us, like I said initially, it was difficult for people to accept that pain management can be done virtually, okay, without touching and without seeing where does it hurt, how could you treat. But I think with a few sessions which happened online on pain management, one-on-one sessions, the results that we saw were surprising. So not only did it develop belief factor for the client, but also, we also started believing, oh, this is possible. Why? Because it was more of the ergonomic changes, especially the neck and back issues. So we, apart from the learnings that we were having, through webinars and conferences and the other studies, we figured out what is to be done, so picture in this angle and a video in this angle, and how do I want to see the client. And I think those virtual meetings went off pretty smooth. The results were faster. I think the clients got a benefit of lesser fees also, so we could actually scale it up in that sense. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mona. Yes, Shweta, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So we actually introduced online consult during this time. So can you hear me?
Yes,
I think
yes.
everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please go ahead.
So
Shweta, now we have a trouble in hearing you.
Yeah. Earlier we were only providing ambulances to patients during this time. So completely our customer.
Shweta, are you with us? I think you went on mute.
Yeah, I think this should be. Is this better?
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we actually launched online consults with our doctors, and that was a complete new segment for us, and that did really well during the pandemic. Again, like I think Dr. Mona already spoke. If there was a problem earlier, we would wait, go and see a GP, or go and see a doctor. This one was very simple. You just call the call center and then say we want to speak to a doctor, and the doctor will call you right back. So for us, it really helped us get a larger customer base.
Oh, okay. Okay, sure. Fantastic. So let me ask, Captain.
For us, I think this was a complete paradigm shift, right? For just to give you an example, we got an inquiry from a country like Bolivia. Well, when I got a message from Bolivia, first thing I did was to open up Google and find where Bolivia is. So one thing that helped, the virtual meetings, if you ask me, that expanded the business of our company, Eka, from being an India-centric player to a world player. Imagine, I would never have imagined a business inquiry from Bolivia, right? And they said, why don't you teach us? I mean, why don't you do a program for us? It's virtual. And we did a program which was reasonably successful. And then that gave us more reasons to market our programs internationally. I just wanted to give one interesting point. We did have a plan to expand internationally. Eka, as a company, as a corporate training company, is the first Indian training company to go and establish a subsidiary in Europe. We have a branch, we have a subsidiary in Europe, and then we had a subsidiary in Australia. So we are the only Indian training company to have this. And as per our plan, we had to wait till 2028 or 29 to go to 10 more countries. But this pandemic, in the last 15 months, I could do training for at least about 20 countries without moving out from my office room. So I think that is, I would say that that's the greatest change that virtual meetings and communication with our client helped us. So today we don't have to experience. And if I may just take one more minute, I would like to say something. We had saved some money for our expansion to Australia because Australian expansion was very expensive. And before going full-fledged into Australian expansion, we have saved some money. In fact, pandemic with almost 40% impact on the business, we had to eat into that savings. And we were very, not very happy that we had to dip into our savings. But we now found out that without any savings, without any investment, I can go not just to Australia, but to any country in the world, sitting right in my office room. So I think that's the greatest paradigm shift that virtual meetings has brought to us. And Bolivia is a wonderful country, by the way.
Definitely, yes. So I think that is definitely a good success story from Captain, I believe. Just like he said, this pandemic has completely shrunk the world even closer together. So we already used to say that the world is a very small place, but this pandemic and Zoom particularly has broken all the barriers, I believe. So just like that, we are getting connected, and that's a very wonderful success story of taking your company to 20 different countries, Captain. And also Bolivia definitely is a beautiful country. Yes, so during this pandemic, we all had our very own set of investments for various tools and technology adoption to ensure that the continuity of business. So I'd like to understand from the panel, what kind of technology adoption have you initiated to ensure continuity of business? Again, starting with Mr. Manoj.
Okay, here I'll just add one line about the line of business we are in. I think EdTech is very nicely understood, but still we actually groom engineers for specific technology jobs. Okay, and because we are grooming them for a specific job outcome, we actually are able to give these engineers 100% job guarantee. Okay, now because we were earlier completely offline, we were doing everything in a classroom, and it was everything in a live environment. They were learning and almost doing it themselves in front of mentors. we had to move all of this online, right? And uh, the best thing that we found out there was Google Suite, right? To be able to take everything into Google Classrooms, easily manageable, easily scalable. Most of the things can be easily bought online, right? So that was one of the biggest things that we invested in. We also dabbled with Zoom a bit, but most of the Google Suite, is something that we were able to use very, very well. Things like Webinar Jam. We also used cloud telephony services to be able to reach out and send out information to students and otherwise. We are also using an email client, through Lead Squared to be able to send out information to large number of our students and to the community. So these are some of the things that we had to invest in because I think rightly now the world is actually your oyster in that sense. You can actually reach out to everybody, and some of these things require these kind of platforms to be able to do that at scale.
All right, Manoj. Yes, let me pass it on to Mr. Atul.
So, the first thing which we did was that the moment the first investment which we did was we kind of moved everyone on Microsoft Teams. It allowed us to kind of interact with everyone freely. But as Manoj was mentioning again, we had to, we moved to Google again, both for this from the student perspective as well as from the team's perspective, because everything we were to share a lot of stuff. People were working simultaneously on a lot of other on content, putting the whole structures together. So that's what we started doing, and post that, obviously, again, we also tried Zoom for a bit, but considering that we thought teams to be better to manage teams per se, and Google for overall tech perspective is something which we started working on. We now trying with Zoom on various other stuff, but that's more to do with our students rather than in the team itself. So within the team, we're still using Microsoft Team. It's much easier. Just connect with anyone anytime. You don't have to kind of send meeting requests and all that stuff. People are online every time. I mean, so much so that one of my team members said, why are we working on WhatsApp groups now? Why can't we just work on Microsoft Team? It's much better.
Right.
Now we're trying Zoom in a different platform altogether, specifically for our Middle East customers. But that's what we did. Apart from that, the normal things which we did, to make sure that we are, up and running in terms of customers through Salesforce and Lead Squared. We're using both right now. Some we are using both right now.
All right.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Atul. Let me quickly pass it on to Dr. Mona Pankaj.
Yeah, so Muthu, I think within the organization, what we tried to do was to update ourselves with the current practices. And to maintain the continuity of the business, I think what was more important was to pass on two things to our clients. One is the message that we are available, and second is the belief. I'll tell you a background about this because all of my patients would say, as soon as we see you, half of our pains are gone already. So it's kind of the belief that really helps people. So if we could only maintain that belief factor amongst our clients, and that could be the current or the prospective clients, I think that was our aim. So we just started making use of the WhatsApp calls, video calls on Duo or WhatsApp, or for one-on-one sessions, and for the group training sessions for the corporates. Generally, the company prefers whichever. So many companies preferred Zoom, and some of them preferred only, say, Cisco WebEx or something. So then otherwise, we preferred MS Teams also. Only drawback with MS Teams was we were not able to share it with others. Zoom and I think others could be shared on YouTube otherwise. So these were the two things. Apart from that, I think to increase the credibility of the organization, we started making some videos on and posted them on YouTube podcasts, so that at least the knowledge sharing keeps happening and people know that we are available, one, and second, that you can trust on us. So these two factors, I think, ensure the continuity of the business.
All right. All right. Thank you, Mona. Just let me ask Shweta.
Hi. So we primarily moved to Zoom. We got the enterprise version of it. For different regions, we got different licenses, so we could have unlimited meetings. We did a lot of webinars on Zoom. So one of the way of customer acquisition was we used to advertise a lot online and then have these Zoom calls, Zoom webinars actually, where we would have 400, 500 people attend. And that actually became very, very useful to us. So I think Zoom was a major, tool to acquire customers, and also for internal meetings. And like I said, we really didn't stick to work from home. We were going into office a lot.
All right, Shweta. Yes, finally, let me end this round with Captain. Over to you.
Hey, first, I just wanted to share whatever Dr. Mona, Ratul, they all talked about what I had mentioned earlier about the experience, and that's the most important change that communication has brought in, from evolving from a communication to an tool to an experience enabler. Having said that, when you're talking about the technology adoptions that we have done, we are a very, highly interactive communication we need. It's in the training business, and in the training business, you need interaction of the highest order. And we found that all of the commonly available tools had some drawbacks, whether it's Zoom, Meet, or Teams, or Webinar, Skype. So we had, and as I told you, till about July, we were cool. We have not even bothered about investing in any of this, because we thought it's a passe and we will get into the business by August. So that's what the pundits were saying. Come monsoon and the corona will go off. But when it was there to stay, then we did some strategic investments. We bought a platform called Egacia. We bought a platform which is specifically into training. So the platform was built around the needs of a training industry. Like for example, probably in Zoom, once the meeting is over, all the material that's shared, all the data which is collected during that particular meeting goes off. But whereas we need those to be preserved for the next and the third session, etc. So therefore, one of the most important adoption we did was to invest in a technology platform which was built around our needs of a training organization. And would like to share that it's been very, very useful. We use that for most of our trainings, including experiential training. But that's another paradigm shift. Before pandemic, nobody, or even I would not have believed that training can be experiential and it can be done experiential in a digital mean. I was never believing that. But now I myself conduct training programs, experiential training programs over digital platforms. So that's something that was a very interesting acquisition that we did. And now, just as an afterthought, I want to tell Muthu, I secretly pray, I know some of you would tell that I am a devil's advocate now, that the pandemic extend a little more time, because we have made so much of investment that unless and until the pandemic is there for the next 6 months, I will not be able to recover my investments.
Okay.
And guys, don't crucify me for that.
Thank you, Captain. So there's been a lot of challenges on the perspective of a business owner during this entire lockdown. So I still remember when my company and my friend's company went digital. The initial set of challenges were to educate the employees on the dynamics of Zoom and all the other technologies. So they were not aware of it on how to use it, and we still have a lot of bandwidth issues. So I'd like to understand from you, gentlemen, what are some of the biggest challenges faced by the enterprises in terms of adopting new digital normal? So again, I would like to start with Mr. Manoj. Over to you.
I think one was definitely, I think, bandwidth, definitely you mentioned, was a big problem. Geo really in Bombay actually has been a complete lifesaver. Uh, to be very honest, we got some early, free sampling from Geo, and we were using, especially in and around my space, I was using that for a very long time. Absolutely seamless and great, use. That was one of the biggest things. But I think eventually, I think the hurdle, what we realized also eventually is it's about, it has to be driven top down. If the top a part of the organization believes that that change needs to happen, it will be adopted very soon and taken forward. So I think these are two things I thought we did.
All right, all right, all right. Yes, Mr. Atul.
For us, the biggest thing was the whole, infrastructure. Hardware infrastructure was bigger problem for us. From a connectivity perspective, we were pretty okay. I mean, most of the people who were working from home had some kind of broadband connectivity. But for us, because we were remotely present, if somebody's laptop is not working for whatever reasons, or has not been able to log into something, handling that issue remotely became a much, much bigger challenge. We would get into a call and somebody would come back and say, you'll try to say something, and you have different set of people who are in different stages of their technology option. So that would become a big challenge for us. How do we figure that out, and how do we promote? How do we provide that remote servicing to those users? Became a challenge for us. Otherwise. So that was the biggest challenge, and I feel that that's still the biggest challenge. Like our content team works on some pretty high-end desktops. They had a very basic laptop at home. So those are the
Right.
kind of challenges which we faced.
All right.
Apart from that, for any tech, making the user understand how to use that technology would always become a challenge. We had issues where people would not able to log into Microsoft Teams. They would delete Microsoft Teams because they would feel that it is taking a lot of bandwidth and the laptop is becoming slower, this, that, and the other. So those are the challenges I think which would still remain and still remains.
Okay.
And I think whether you're in the office, it's just that there is somebody there to assist you physically in the office and you feel better.
All right.
But I think people have kind of figured out ways to overcome those.
All right.
But
All right.
that's been the biggest challenge for us.
Thank you, Atul. Thank you, Atul. Yes, let me quickly ask a different question to the balanced set of speakers. So I would like to ask Mona, Shweta, and Captain. So one major initiative of your organization to reset growth, what was it? What was that one thing? Let me ask Dr. Mona first.
Yeah, I think when any business takes a break or goes down for whatever reasons, including the pandemic, sharing with people about the services and announcing in a subtle way that you're available to help them with their challenges is the key to get back. So we respected people's time to take decisions for their organizations and continued to share valuable information for them to know that we are available, what we are into, how we could help them, and what solutions could we offer to which of their problems. I think it was more of communication. So I think that was availability, announcing availability, and our continuous learning. These two things I think we did.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mona. Yes, let me ask the same to Shweta.
You just have to repeat the question. Sorry, I think I didn't
I'll
get
do.
the question right.
One major initiative of your organization to reset growth.
All right. So I think, like I said, my situation was a little different than others. For us, we were actually bombarded with a number of calls which we couldn't handle. So, we were really busy handling that. Just to go back to your previous question, the challenges in adoption of technology, I just want to give an example. So when we got the call center people, some of them to work from home, and when we used to have a review call with them or take a call, give a call to them, there used to be a lot of background noise. And I used to get very upset saying that, it's a customer call and how can you have so much noise and you need to be in a quiet corner. So one day a manager of mine called me and said, ma'am, I know you want everything to be perfect, but you have to realize they're at home and their homes are not like ours. They pretty much are doing everything in one room. And it's very difficult for them to, have a quiet corner. And that kind of stuck me. So providing technology was not a challenge. It was really about the space and the circumstances they are in which they were to do the work. And just one major initiative which we launched was this online consult, which really did well. Also, as a company, we had a policy of providing the service through our own ambulance network, which is our own 1298 ambulances. But during this time, we partnered with around 10,000 ambulances across India. And we made sure that anywhere people called us from, we were able to provide a service to them. So I think that's how we did this initiative. Thanks.
Thank you, Shweta. I think you just clearly mentioned all the nuances, especially the background noises. And just when we are about to speak something, somebody would be unmuting, and all those things will be happening always on a Zoom. Yes, Captain, let me hear it from you before I close it down.
So I would continue from where Dr. Mona had said. Dr. Mona talked about two things: relevancy and availability. To communicate to the clients that we are still available for business and we are relevant to their business, which is extremely, extremely important for our sense of business, because training has taken a complete hiatus. It's taken a complete stop, a break in 15 months. So we need to restart it. And that's where availability, relevancy, and more importantly, affordability comes in, because pandemic had been disastrous for many companies. And with complete breakdown of their financial reserves, we cannot ask them to invest in training. So with that, there were two very important initiatives that we in ACAR took. First is called Plug-in and Recharge. Plug-in and Recharge is a program which is a face-to-face program. It's a classroom program where we welcome people back to work. And very importantly, this program was done completely free of cost, per organization, one batch. So if there's an organization which wants to do one batch of this program, we did it completely free of cost. So that's the first thing. The second one that we started is called Mission Enlightenment. Mission Enlightenment is a very interesting thing because it came from one of our clients. They were a very regular clients of ours. And when we contacted them, they said, sorry, they cannot do the program because they don't have budget. So we created this thing called Mission Enlightenment, where we said that learn as much as you can, learn as much as you want and pay as much as you can. A lot of people thought that was a stupid idea, but I think as of now, we have been doing this program for the last 3 months. And the results are very good. I mean, nobody's trying to undercut us. In fact, it puts the onus on the clients to decide how much is the training worth paying for. So I think these are two things that we did. One is Plug-in and Recharge, a completely free of cost program for those companies which are opening up their business for physical presence of the employees. And the second is Mission Enlightenment, which says that it's a very flexible payment option. Whatever you feel like that the program is worth paying. And I think these are two things. And then there are many things as the the lockdown eases up, we will bring in as much initiatives as possible.
Okay. Thank you. Captain, so I think we are down to, again, last two questions, I believe. So let's have our answers pretty crisp. So I'd like to ask the entire roundtable a very common question. What kind of enterprise solutions you feel can enhance your productivity? So I'd like to again start with Mr. Manoj Barot.
I think I said it in the earlier things. We've already now incorporated most of them. So Google, Zoom using when we can. There is WhatsApp, which gets used quite a lot. There is Webinar Jam, Lead Squared. So these are some of these overall, and then a lot of them are interconnected in most ways. So, these are things that we are using currently.
Wonderful, Mr. Manoj. Yes, let me ask the same to Mr. Atul.
So, Muthu, what we as an organization would probably get benefited from and help from is if we can get a service provider who can give us as a suite rather than just we figuring out what is best at this particular stage, at this particular point. If there is something which could come as a suite, like Microsoft suite comes as a suite, Google comes as a suite, but there are pieces of it which can be used in current scenario, and then you'll have to make the system talk to the other system, which a lot of time it is not, and you're typically working in islands of information which you're trying to then put together. So if there is a particular suite which can have all the functionality which are required, which was spoken throughout the meeting, in terms of you need people to interact, you need people to report, you need some kind of a ticketing mechanism, some kind of a servicing mechanism, and then if it gets layered over, somebody passing it on along with the bandwidth and the service, something which would help specifically startup like ours, because you do not have that kind of bandwidth and the resources to deploy on technology.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Atul. Over to Dr. Mona Pankaj.
Yeah, I think with the current volume of business, we're able to manage with whatever technology is available, which I just mentioned previously. But I think to scale up, we would definitely look at something which can generate more leads, which can track the activity of our associates, to help us document things, and probably to also manage the accounts. Okay. So I think there are quite a few things if everything can be, brought together. Otherwise, like Mr. Anand said, I think things are available in bits and pieces. We can manage it in Excel and Word and PPT, but if we could have it all together at one place, so I think that will help in scaling up the business.
All right. Thank you, Doctor. Yes, Shweta Mangal, over to you.
Yeah, I think our nature of business is a little different. So there are different pieces to it, which includes ambulance tracking, the call center solution, then the whole end solution which does reporting and analytics, etc. So it's very specific to our industry actually, which we've actually got it developed. So I don't know if there's any ready enterprise solution which we can use. There's bits and pieces which we have kind of put together and sewn together to create our own kind of a solution.
All right, wonderful, Shweta. Yes, over to Captain.
Well, I think my answer would also be echoing a lot of things which are said earlier by others. There's bits and pieces of everything. And what we really require is something which integrates everything. I've already told you that we had invested in a solution which helps us specifically on training needs. And what we require is something which integrates everything. In fact, for training, you need very high-end AR, AI softwares, mixed reality softwares. I think if that comes, and we are still working on it to create a very customized software for our training needs. But if it is, that's a very expensive proposition. But if it is available somewhere, then that would be a game changer for training, truly. Thank you.
Fantastic, Captain. So one last question, which will be a very rapid fire round, maybe. So let's play that. So it has to be a one word, or you can just have it in one sentence. The question goes like this. One thing that worked very well for your business, which you would like to share with the others. So what was that one thing that worked magic for your business you would like to share with the others? It's a common question for everyone. So let me start with Mr. Manoj.
In one word, it's transparent communication and making sure everybody was on the same page.
Okay, transparency and everyone are on the same page. Excellent, Mr. Manoj. Over to Mr. Atul.
I would call it adaptiveness to technology is what helped.
Adapting to the technology. Wonderful, Mr. Atul. Is over to Dr. Mona.
Yeah, I think the passion to share something which is of high value to others and providing genuinely effective solutions, that works well with me for us.
Fantastic, Doctor. Is over to Shweta.
I think the attitude of not giving up, that really in our business.
That persistence is the key. Fantastic, Shweta. Is over to Captain.
I would want to put two words: hope and transparency. These are the ones which kept us floating.
Hope and transparency. Excellent, excellent, ladies and gentlemen. Let's all give a good round of applause to ourselves for that fantastic roundtable and knowledge sharing for the last 60 minutes. I personally had a lot of learning today. So, as a young entrepreneur, as a budding entrepreneur of being myself, so I had a lot of lovely inputs from you guys, which I would definitely like to carry and implement on my business. And as I told you before, this session is recorded and will be streamed on YouTube in a couple of days. There are a lot of young entrepreneurs like me who definitely watch this and get good insights. And before we end the session, let me quickly call our Janice Das, the Regional Marketing Head for Tata Tele Business Services Mumbai, to give a short closing thoughts for today's session.
Thank you, Muthu. And thank you once again, Manojji, Captain, Atul, Dr. Mona, Shweta, and Muthu once again for sparing time and sharing your experiences, what you have learned, how you have adapted, and how this has helped your organization, to be resilient during this COVID time. I think these insights are great and look forward to engaging each one of you again in such series. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Janice. Thank you, all the lovely panelists who have joined here with us today.